What's up? What's up? What's up, Red Raiders? Welcome to Seeing Scarlet. It's your girl, Cybbi, and I'm here with the person that's here every single time, and that's Shelby.
It's true, you're
Hi,
stuck with
Shelby.
me.
I'm
Hi.
stuck with you. What a great thing to have.
Yeah.
But welcome into our show for tonight. We have some great topics, some things that I was even surprised to hear and learn more about. So we'll save that as like a teaser for
Whoa.
later. But what we're gonna get into tonight, let's get into women's basketball. They swept Houston. We did the damn thing. It was a great game. We had a struggle there with BYU, which we'll get into, but a really powerful win, a much needed win against Houston, and yeah, more to come with that. And then we'll shift over to men's basketball. They just beat BYU, number 20 BYU at home, 85-78. Really great to see. We got stuff to talk about with some record breaking, some professionals. We have
Yo. Track
all
is
of the cool
showing
stuff
out.
showing
Already
out
track.
what they already did, what they already do all the time. And we got some cool clips to go along with that too. And a teaser. Y'all, we got a really fun interview for next week. And we're gonna tell you who it is, but you have to hang out and talk to us until we get to that point. So that's what we got for our episode tonight. So thanks for hanging out. If y'all have questions, throw them in the chat. We're looking. We talk to y'all. We yell back at you. So let us know if you have anything that comes to mind. But otherwise, Shelby, let's get into it. Let's
Let's
talk
go.
hoops. Let's talk about hoops.
Let's talk about hoops. I mean, you know I'm always ready to talk
I know.
basketball.
Shelby's like, okay, so I should just talk like a
You
normal
should
human.
like you
Okay,
just want me to
fine.
talk about basketball. There's a really big basketball game going on right now, but I'm here with you guys anyway. I'm gonna
Oh,
catch the rest of that one later. We're
tell
tuning in to South
well
Carolina
tell
versus
tell the
LSU,
people
but
what you're. Yeah. It's
but if you're not aware, it's a big game going on right now. But we'll catch the end of it. I'm excited. It started off well just now when I was checking it. But our
cool.
gals,
Hey.
there are some people asking. There's been people that probably in here watching now that have been like, "Hey, why don't y'all ever do like a second episode a week so y'all could recap the Saturday games because y'all don't do until Thursday games and all this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, maybe someday." Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a dang good thing. We
No, our
don't do that.
schedule is perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
guys.
wish
Also,
that.
this is we have jobs and lives that we unfortunately have to attend to. Maybe tournament time, that type of stuff. We'll do more episodes, but yeah, I don't think y'all wanted to hear from me after this BYU game, so it's probably a good thing that it fell
Tough.
this way, and I'm much calmer about it now because of last night's game. But I don't really let sports affect me as much as my younger years, probably more than the normal person
Right?
still. But I can
Yeah.
usually move on from games now, even ones I'm just watching but I like
Wow.
playing.
What
And that one
growth.
hung with me for a bit. That Provo loss. We went up there and lost 60-46.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off a little bit, and I'm not pissed off at the players because
Right.
I know
But
they
like,
were pissed off as well. I mean, the game pissed me off just
yeah.
watching it because it just wasn't our basketball. And it wasn't necessarily that we lost, right? Because there was a world in which we go to BYU and lose. I was comfortable with that. We talked about
Sure.
they're not a bad team. They have one of the best players in the country in Lauren Gustin, and they have good shooters.
We saw it. Yeah.
Gustin did
Yep.
what she did, but we actually did hold her below her rebounding average, but we were putting so much attention on her, other people were getting rebounds. It was a whole thing, and they shot it well statistically, but they only made 6 3-pointers. So it wasn't like the world in which we lose that game
Mm-hmm.
was in my brain. BYU gets in fuego. They're in front of their home crowd. They drop 80 or 75 on us. We lose in a shootout. Like that's the world in which we lose that game, right? I didn't see us going up there and holding BYU, who averages 70 points a game, 10 points below their scoring average, and us unfortunately having our lowest scoring output of the year. I didn't see that happening. I know the team didn't, and that's why it was a frustrating game to watch.
Yep.
Those things happened, and we keep growing, and we have road games ahead that will have a chance to redeem themselves. But they really redeemed themselves last night, so we're gonna spend more time on that game. But the biggest thing from this game that like you're kind of starting to see with this team is like they're young, but they're also new, right? They have a new nucleus, even transfers, and I feel like they just like when they know something, they do really well, but they don't know what they don't know yet. And they
You
learned
know.
a big lesson, you know?
You know.
And they learned a big lesson in
Yeah.
Provo
Yeah.
that they seem to take to heart in the Houston game. So they learn quickly in that way, which you respect, and they
Oof.
keep getting back up. And that's why
Yes.
I really love this team.
Mm-hmm.
is because I've been around teams covering them or just around them in other ways that would have quit by now with this roller coaster, and they just keep getting back up, climbing out of holes, even the ones they dug for themselves. They just keep going, and that shows you how much they care and how much they want to win and how much they love each other as a team. And that's what I really respect about them.
Yeah.
But that BYU loss was tough to watch. Tough to watch. I felt
Yeah.
like we just let the moments get to us. Like if something went wrong, we got frustrated instead of just playing basketball, and it kind of compounded on us there. Like I think of one particular moment, and there's definitely more, but the one that sticks with me is the third quarter. I feel like we were clawing back into it, right? We
Yeah.
were within 4 for a lot of the game. We get within 2, and we have the ball on the block, and Kylie goes up to shoot and gets bodied to the ground and her shot blocked. Go watch it again. I'm never watching that game again, but y'all go watch it and see if y'all decide if y'all think it's a foul or not. In some games it's called a foul, and that one it wasn't, right?
Right.
Instead of getting up and all of us getting back and playing defense and just being like, that sucked, that was a bad call, but we're not going to let this next possession get us. You kind of saw ourselves die because that was a chance that we thought we were about to tie it. Instead, BYU takes the ball, goes down to the other court, into the court, and hits a 3. So we go from tying it to being down 5. And I felt like that was kind of like the last straw. We had moments. Logan Johnson showed moments.
Yep.
Bailey had some baskets there in the 4th. She had moments of fight, but it just really felt like after that was just like we couldn't get anything going. And that's kind of what you can't see going forward. And hopefully they learned that lesson because they did that a lot better at home against Houston, is they didn't let the moments affect them like we did in BYU. So that's what was frustrating to watch. It's like, y'all are better than this. Y'all know this.
I know.
Like, let's just play basketball.
That's why.
But it happens. So
that's exactly right. I felt bummed. Like I wasn't upset or mad. I was just like, damn, I'm so bummed. Like, yeah, I know. I've matured, Shelby. Get with it. No, but I don't know either. Soccer season, don't talk to me. Like I was very, very sad for a while. So we'll trade off. But yeah, with the BYU loss, exactly what you said to me. It was just like, this isn't how we ball. Like this ain't it. Like, what we are seeing glimpses of in highlights, I think, with, if you were to watch that game again, there are some showouts, and like Kyla Freeland had a great game, and it was just tough. We couldn't seem to grasp and hold on to any momentum if there was momentum to be had, and then it was just a tough game to get through. But yeah, it makes Houston look so much better, and you've talked about this so much in the past, but now I'm starting to see it too, and kind of why I'm grateful that we do this on Thursdays, because it's been nice for us win-wise. But we'll go through that of like, damn, a bummer of a loss. How do we bounce back from that? And what I saw from this game was, I think, some foreshadowing. Like you talked about Logan Johnson. She had a pretty good game, and holy, and we're going to talk about Logan here in a minute against Houston, but like that was a foreshadowing moment. And I think we saw some really great highlights too of drive into the basket when we have been shooting. And our last game against Iowa State we were shooting, shots were flowing, but we really didn't see success unless we were driving to that hoop. And we had those looks when it worked out for us, but just wasn't enough in the long run. And I'm with you on the game. I was like, hey, we're never out of this. That's my toxic trait that I talk about all the time. I'm always like, we're in it. But it wasn't until the end-ish of the 4th quarter, I was just like, damn it. Okay.
Like, I don't know what I'm watching right now.
Frick. But
it was tough.
Yeah. But yeah, Kyla had 10 rebounds in that game, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 4 points. And then we love to see Jordan Merritt. That's another player we'll talk about with Houston. Another foreshadowing is she had a pretty good game too, seeing her with some assists, blocks, and steals, what we hoped to see from her coming from Florida. So I'm really stoked to talk about her more so in a minute. But yeah, BYU, we lost, we moved on, and now we get this fun game to talk about with Houston. So that's all I think I have to say about BYU.
Bunch now. I think we learned a lot of good lessons from that. I was hoping they'd come out the way they did against Houston, so we could have this conversation and not another conversation where it's a lot more tense. And I think, actually, tense is the word. They just looked like they tightened up in that game when things didn't go their way. And that's a learning lesson because they didn't do that against Houston. And again, it's at home, as we'll talk about, and they played well at home. But the Houston game, there was other signs of growth because they did it in a different way, which was
Yep.
nice. So, but yeah, BYU is what it is. Hopefully, we get a crack at them in the Big 12 tournament. We can get our revenge on there.
For real.
I think the good news is well, here, this kind of goes with this person's question since we love interaction. The good news is it's happened really early. I mean, relatively in the first half of Big 12 play. So
Yep.
your destiny's still in your hands. Raider Rick, we've said he's asking if you're just listening on audio, how many conference games do we need to get in the tourney? We've talked about probably realistically 9 to 10. 10 makes you feel good. I think if you get 9, the net's so good in the Big 12 that should be good enough, but you don't want to. You might need to go at least win one game in the Big 12 tournament at that point. So who knows? So I think 9 to 10, and I think that path is still there for them definitely to get 9. And they're capable of winning some that they're quote unquote not going to be favored in as well to get more. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. And it happened early enough that they don't have to worry about that one like holding them back. They can just go make up for it with other games. And again, that Iowa State win that they got last week kind of helps them in the bigger picture as well, because that was one you weren't favored in, and they went ahead and got that. So yeah. That's kind of where they're at. They're 4-4 after we'll talk about the Houston game. Moving on, they ultimately win that game 66-48 to make them 4-4 in Big 12 play for the first time in, I heard them say 11 years to start 4-4 in their first 8. So the growth for this program keeps going that way, which is what you like to see, growth in that way. And they got plenty of time here to get the rest of those wins. One more game away from being halfway through Big 12 play.
Yeah, and Rick, if you're still here, we talked about our predictions of those wins, those 9
episodes ago.
Yeah, 2 episodes ago. So go back and check that out. Mine was very chaotic, and Shelby's was more accurate. So, but it's very obtainable for this crew, and yeah, I think Houston. I don't have anything else to say on BYU.
No, yeah, listen.
We're moving past. All right.
They don't want to hear me rant, so y'all don't want to hear me that.
I don't either. Let's talk about Houston.
Best effort. Let's move on. Is what it is. We told you. There isn't like a clear reason why we lost that game other than effort, in my opinion. So y'all don't need to hear me rant about effort for that long. So let's move on.
Let's do
it. All right, so we win 66-48. Again, another one where you win, great. You needed to win that way. You're supposed to win that game. But Houston's a pretty good team, right? Yeah. And you absolutely dismantled them on your home floor, especially late. You took care of it late. You could argue we kind of let them hang around a little longer than we should have with some turnovers and some moments there in the third. But we really showed our growth and kind of put your foot on their throat, so to speak, as they say, and finish the game in that fourth quarter, which you loved to see that they're learning how to do that. But I would start it with this, Cybbi.
And
anyone listening. If I had told you before this game, if I had read these stats off to you, what do you think the score to this game would have been?
Ooh, right? Okay. I'm closing
Bailey
my eyes.
Maupin is going to have 2 points. Jasmine Shavers is going to have 6 points. As a team, we're going to shoot 3 from 16 from 3, 18% from 3. Jada Wynn, who dropped 23 or whatever against Houston in Houston, is only going to play 17 minutes because, bless her heart, those refs had something against her. She was getting the most phantom foul calls called against her all game and fouled out of this game in only 17 minutes. I still am befuddled by at least 3 to 4 of those calls.
I need to go back and watch that because I need to get clips of her face, because if you took that and like compared it with people who just saw a ghost, that was her. She was just like, what?
Shook
smiling though. Like Same. It was just, anyway, keep going.
Yeah. But yeah, so if I read off those stats, what would you have said the score is going to be? Obviously, I left out some big stats, but those are like normal ones for us.
Yeah, like 11, 12, you know, like if they're shooting that low, I'm not expecting a huge barn burner necessarily.
You're probably not even expecting us to win. I wouldn't if you told me.
Correct.
Like if we win and where it's like a close game, definitely not a blowout, right?
Yeah.
And we just won by 18 despite all that. And so I thought that was kind of what it was to me. Is I mean maybe some non-con games we did, but I don't even know then that we've ever won this much against the grain of what we do. We did some things that we do well in wins, which we had assists. I think we had 17 assists on like 24 made baskets. We've talked many a time on the show about how assist percentage is a huge element and correlates well with this team's success. And once again, in a win, you saw that. the
Mhm.
amount of assists compared to field goal. So that was there, right? Um, but we just did things that we haven't been doing. We scored, let's see, 42 points in the paint. We out
Yep.
rebounded them. These things that we haven't been getting, and then obviously your two leading scorers don't have offensively their best nights. We'll talk about them later because I've seen some stupid takes online that Bailey and Jazzy had bad games. They didn't. They had less than stellar offensive games. Let's be honest,
They had a game.
but they had other good points in that game. They were passing the ball well, and they played really good defense. So it was good to see us be able to win that way. And obviously Logan Johnson and Jordan Merritt,
Oh my
huge.
god. Oh my gosh, they had such a huge game. I know we're gonna talk a lot more about it, but yeah, Houston being a really impressive team, and watching that game, you could tell the talent that they had. So it was, given the adversity of, yes, our leading point scorers with Jazzy and Bailey are who's going to step up, right? And we got to see that with Logan, with Jordan, with the team, and I think that just continues to shine on the depth of their bench and like how important that is now. And I think as we continue to go and progress through the season, this is the type of win that I really love to see, because as the games go on, these wins are things that we can look back to when we faced adversity and we were coming off a loss, and all of the things were going against us, but we made it work, and that's what I was really looking forward to with tonight. So
Yeah,
great
yeah.
performances by a lot of different people, which I'm sure we're going to get into here in just a minute.
Yeah, I think overall the theme of the game was growth. They looked focused on almost every possession, which was something that was
Yep.
missing BYU, and we've done a good job of the focus element in home games, so you expected that to happen, and they did that again in this game. There were some lack of focus moments in this, but for the most part, they were focused on almost every possession. And then
Fair.
there were some scoring droughts in this game, like that. That was the comforting. You wish you could just have blown Houston out from the beginning, right? You wish you had a 20-point game lead the whole game, right? But in also some ways, it's an element of growth that it wasn't. It was kind of close there, back and forth
Mm-hmm.
at times, or at least they. I mean, we had a lead for most of the game, but they were close, and they get back, and then we pull it back out, and that forced us to face a little bit of in-game adversity, which since conference we haven't handled in-game adversity very well. We do really well game to game adapting, but the in-game stuff sometimes it's gotten to us. So they did well with that. They didn't let these scoring droughts get to them. They just buckled down on defense and went and got buckets instead that way off their defense,
Yep.
which you loved.
Yep.
And the consistency was there from every quarter. It might have been one of our first games in conference that we outscored the opponent every single quarter.
Yes.
Which we need, because I think there's maybe that's a
I was
talking
just
point that we need
I was
to
just about to
change,
look.
because
Yeah.
I feel like what gets said about this team a lot and gets said to them a lot and said by everyone a lot is you have to start fast. This team has to start fast to win. And I think the verbiage on that needs to be changed. Be like, we would like to start fast.
Sure.
But like, I don't know if it's getting in their heads like, if we don't start fast, oh, game's over, because everyone
Right.
told us we had to start fast, right? Because when we haven't started fast, things have kind of like, we haven't been able to come back, right?
Yeah.
So I think the better thing is like, we just need to be consistent about it. And that's going to come up big as we talk about TCU, because they're capable of fast starts. TCU is. You just got to like put your head down and keep playing as we get on Saturday. We'll talk about that later. But this game, they were just so consistent every quarter and then really took over late. It reminded me of some of those early games in the year, which was nice.
Yes, I know. We, in the first quarter, we're leading 20-14, and then 13-12, 17-12, 16-10. So I have even said that before of, we need to start fast. I know I have said that in the past,
No,
but I
have
see it
too, but I'm
now.
like, I wonder if they're just hearing
I
that too much, and they're like, oh
well,
crap, we didn't start fast like everyone told us to, and
I
then it
think
gets in
it's
their heads. I don't
yeah,
know.
it's not even I would change it now to like kind of what you're talking about, like start consistent.
Yeah,
Stay
be
consistent, but you can't
consistent.
start consistent until you're consistent,
We
but
got
I
you, though.
think the strength of it too, I think like starting strong, and that's what it looked like. And yes, we had some of our hiccups and turnovers and things like that, but it just was a really fun game to watch. I think our defense looked great. We'll definitely talk about that, but it was just all around a lot more of what this team is capable of. And
For sure.
and yeah, that's I think I would change my answer now to that of, let's starting strong, but having that consistency, and having that really powerful first quarter of the 2014 lead. I was like, I wonder what that stat is. I'm sure you know it, or we can find it at some point. But like how often we were down in the first quarter, because it was almost like sometimes we were hoping, or I was like, let's get to halftime so we can resettle and get back into gear. Where it seems like this was happening a lot sooner in the game, with Houston. And it was a vibe.
I
It was good to
mean,
watch.
all of our, I think all of our Big 12 wins, we might have been winning or close at the end of the first quarter. So definitely getting off to quick starts helps this team. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, we don't have to live
I
and
got
die
you.
by that, because there are going to be teams where that they just do come out
Yeah.
gangbusters, and it was good to see in this game where we started out okay. We didn't really like come out crazy. Like we still allowed 14 points. We could have made more. It could have been up like 16 at the end of that quarter if you made a few more shots, right? And we were only up 6, right? So then they kept it going. So that was a growth point for me. I like that.
Cool.
We're going to need to continue that, because as you start playing some of the higher teams, as their schedule gets down towards the end of this conference, they have some fun ones ahead.
Yep.
And you're going to have to be willing to like come back, which we had that mentality early in the year. And I feel like we saw that last night in the fourth quarter for like the first time in a while, where we put a team away. We used to outscore everybody in the fourth quarter. Like, I mean, good teams like in Vegas, Santa Clara is a solid team, and that's how we won that game. And you think of those games, and so I like them getting that mentality back. And it does start with defense. And Houston scores a lot of points, a lot of them off of their turnovers, right? But we held them 24 points below their season scoring average.
What?
Yeah, they averaged 72 points a game, and they scored, what did they score? 46?
48. Yeah.
Like that's everybody on the team taking it a little bit like they're like having fun with that now. It's like, oh, how much do they score? Okay, let's do this. Like you can tell like they're like buying into it, because again, defense was not the problem in BYU. Like we also held them below their scoring average. I think
exactly
there were moments where you needed stops and you maybe couldn't get them, but overall the defense was the intensity, at least on defense. Was that's not been this team's problem, right? And they showed that against Houston, who has been putting up points against a lot of people, and that might have been their season low point total, which is fun, because we had our season low point total, and it really was a redemption game for us. I think those were the exact words that Logan Johnson used after the game, was a redemption game. So the defense, we forced 20 turnovers on Houston. The effort was there, the commitment to it by everyone on the team, which we'll talk about some individuals in a minute that aren't exactly known for defense, but they locked in as well. And that's what I loved. Defense was there. Offense, again, Houston actually is top 10. I think they're 7th in the nation in forcing turnovers. They're a good defense. They play similar to us. They press. They get after you. Which, again, we have younger guards and people that are new to the point guard position and mopping. Like, for them she had some early turnovers, but she settled in after that. And we only had 16 turnovers against a team that averages forcing 22.9, basically 23 a game.
Yeah.
And they live off of turnovers. I think we had over 20 when we were in Houston. It was chaotic. We were just bad turnover, and that's what kept them in the game there. And they scored like 27 points off turnovers against us in Houston, and that did not happen last night. So that was huge on offense. Points in the paint, obviously the assists we've already talked about. The movement, the cuts, I don't know if we changed the offense a little bit. It looked a little different. I think they watched, they knew what we saw watching as well, like about the most success we had in BYU was driving. Our shots weren't necessarily falling from three, but we're going to hit those threes most of the time. So those will start falling again, but it was good to see us win a game where we didn't. That's the first Big 12 game we've won where we didn't hit double-digit threes. We only made 3 threes, and we won because we were driving to the basket. And not just getting layups, but that's what we were talking about. Like, we were driving to the basket, and then we'd kick out. I think the 3 threes we made were from people that drove to the basket, kicked out to the corner, to the top, and then they made the 3 because they're wide open. And you talked about the Iowa State game, and being like, we made all those threes. Well, that was a zone.
That's what we were playing.
That's what I was talking about. That was a zone. Like, you have a lot of space. We have good shooters when they have space. BYU is not playing a zone. And so we talked about that last episode. Is like, we don't do well with people in our space sometimes, but we did really well with people in our space against a team that, again, is top 10 in the country in doing that and forcing people to turn it over and annoying them that way. And we really handled it a lot better. And we used our athleticism, because what do you do when someone's in your space? Well, just make one move and go to the basket. And Logan Johnson, my goodness, did she ever make one move and go to the basket quite a bit in this game.
About,
so it was great to see.
Playing strong. I mean, I think we can get into the clips here in a minute, but that that's what I saw from this game, is just how strong and powerful we're playing in the paint with, yeah, like we haven't been doing well with people in our space, like what you've referred to and talked about, and that it was like we're not even talking about that. Like we're taking what we need here, and so seeing those powerful looks, drive to the hoop from Logan Johnson and Jordan Merritt, I think is such a beautiful poetic piece of it too. Like freshman, senior, and we're just seeing them have a career night with each other, and seeing that from them was just spectacular. What a fun game to watch, and in the way that they did it, it was how they adapt. Yes, different from Iowa State going against a zone to man or whatever the case may be. It's showing like, okay, if we have a weakness or like if there is anything that we need to work on, we're going to do it. We're going to adapt no matter what you throw at us, and we're not afraid to try new things too. So that was cool. And it's talking about trying new things. Riley is a brunette. Did you see her hair? I was like, let's go, sis.
The hair game on this team is unmatched. I mean, every game you just don't know what they're going to give you, and I just love this, y'all.
Thank you for the entertainment. You're gonna get served looks every time. It's just,
I mean, they're rocking them out there all the time. She had the braids in too.
Yeah, it was awesome. Anyway, but yeah, let's
show some highlights. So a lot of the stuff we just talked about, you're gonna see it, and then we'll talk about the individual players a little bit more. But you'll have some tape. Just have seen it.
Protecting home court is a priority for Texas.
It is. Tell them.
What they do. Oh, that.
Great way to start the game. Thanks, Jada.
Yeah, Jada. Bless her, she didn't get to play a lot, but she was good when she was out there.
Yeah,
I love that. She was playing post defense this game. She was our 4.
Yes, change up in the
Jazzy Shavers, these passes.
Oh my gosh! Like stealth.
Watch this. Wait for it. Wait. Like,
hey, you know how I feel.
Like,
you know how I feel.
This is what I'm talking about from Jazzy. Yeah, she scored 6 points, but she was so locked in on defense.
Yes.
And she is her and Bailey both, right?
Yeah.
Are way too athletic of players and way too skilled players to ever be bad at defense. They're just buckets and you're just buckets. And so they're very like, I'm going to go score, right? But when they lock in on defense and they care about it, she was locked in on defense, and you saw some moments on that, and that's you could tell she cared. So I was like, okay, let's go, Jazzy.
Let's go.
She could charge in this game. I was so hyped for her.
It was hype. It was very hype.
Beautiful passes.
Oh, that was a sick pass. There was a lot of
buzzword.
Passes.
Beautiful passes. Buzzword.
Oh, speaking of, look at these, Jazzy. Where has this been?
That's some big cat energy, chunking that ball like that.
You got another year.
Look at that pass, too.
Beautiful shot.
Chasing Brittany Scott for the #1 spot.
Just no hesitation, Logan. Confidence is
hype.
Cooking with that freshman.
Hype.
Texas Tech 0 for their last 229.
Take it.
Trying to break
nah, you can't stop me. You can't stop me. Have you seen those arms? Like, you can't stop me.
Jazzy coming up to her like this is everything.
This is what I'm talking about. Get to the lane, pass it out, then you make the 3, right?
Merritt.
That's the 7th game in a row that Jordan Merritt has made a 3. Fun facts.
Ugh. Stay with it.
Logan.
Yep.
Beautiful drive, Logan Johnson's got.
Yes, she did.
She can get to the.
Chevalier with 6. Merritt on the inside.
Oh, Merritt. Please.
I have so much to say about Jordan Merritt.
Bailey playing defense. Actually, that was really good.
That's good.
Oh, that's when we thought Bailey got hurt, but she didn't.
Yeah.
She came back in the game, everyone. It's okay.
Bailey was tough this game. She had to
she had
get bounced around a little bit.
She had 5 turnovers, and there's a lot of talk about that, her and Jazzy both. And I get it. Listen, they're working on it. We've talked about it. I would say at least 3 of those for Bailey were in like that first minute. She looked a little bit jazzed up in this game. Maybe she was really excited to take on the challenge on defense because she played, I think she was matched up with their leading scorer all the game, which was, whoa,
oh my
what
gosh.
an assignment for Bailey.
Yeah,
Hoffman,
good luck.
to take on that. So maybe she was jazzed up for that. Maybe she had a new, maybe something new was in there for her on offense. I don't know, but she was definitely a little amped and had to go. Like the ball was like bouncing around in her hands in a way you haven't seen in that first quarter. Once after she got through those first couple of minutes, she settled in. But Houston does that. They trap you. They do that. They do that to everybody. Again, they're 7th in the country, so they're gonna get better with that. But they're learning, and for the most part, I thought this was a really good like floor game for Bailey as far as like helping her teammates be where they were. She did score 2 points, but led the team in plus or minus. That says a lot about what she was doing and what was happening when she was on the floor for sure.
That's a good point.
Oh, did we just miss the play of the game?
Kyla Freeland.
I mean, Jasmine Shavers. QB1?
I know. Might as well.
QB just.
I love that. That was huge. She's so fast.
To go get
she
that
is
after
so
bottling it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Take it
Moffitt
to the
scores
hoop.
her first points of the game with 5 minutes left, and we're still up 18.
Take it up. Take it to the hoop.
Enrique had a quietly good game in this one.
I was about to
had
say
a lot of
she
good, like passes and drives to the basket, and she took it full court one time. It was nice.
Yep.
Everybody really had good games. I don't think anyone that got in the game had a bad game.
Let's go.
But Jordan Merritt, Logan Johnson, two of the big
Yes.
Yeah. So if you weren't watching, Jordan Merritt and Logan Johnson were the stars of the game for the Lady Raiders offensively. They both got career highs. Jordan Merritt with 24 points. Career high, not just a Lady Raider high, career. And she's had some games, y'all. She's had games in her college career. And that was her career high. And Logan Johnson is just a freshman. And we're seeing it. We saw it. That she was a bright spot in Provo. And she carried that over and took that confidence. She's slowly just gotten better in every game, really, that she's been out there. And we've talked about Logan since the beginning and said like she's going to be a problem as her career goes on. And that's a really big development for this team if she starts becoming a problem in Big 12 play as a freshman. She's already a good defender, and if she starts finding a way to contribute offensively in this way, it really takes the pressure off of Jasmine and Bailey. I think that this game should be good for all involved. It gives people like Jordan confidence, which we can talk about Jordan in a minute, but I was really impressed with her. But it should maybe take a little pressure off of Bailey and Jasmine that like, hey, okay, my team has got me, and we can focus on defense. And we can still win because our teammates will score true. We don't have to be so focused on that. So, and then there's going to be games where we need Jazzy and Bailey to do what they do, and I'm confident they will. Like, I'm not really concerned. Like, their buckets, they'll go score on Saturday if that's what we need them to do. But I thought overall it was just a big growth game to see that and more kind of team basketball again, and in a different way than we've shown team basketball because we've played well at home. This is not a new development in that way. We do this at home, but it was the way in which we did it. So. Yeah, I was really impressed with Jordan in this game. I agree she had some good moments in BYU, but I also think maybe she took that game a little personally because we got beat up in the paint in BYU, and she's one of those players. She got in foul trouble, and she looked like a player that took that game personally to me in this, which I love. That tells me a lot about a player, the competitiveness of a player, the player that wants to win. And she just came out in this one and had a little bit more of an aggressive mindset to her. And she's always pretty controlled. She's not a player that shows like she'll give you those great block celebration moments, but she's always
that's the peak.
Emotion player, which you love about her. But she just seemed the whole game. That was the most consistent we've seen Jordan Merritt all season from start to finish. And she was leaking out and getting some, but she was also making good moves and playing defense. I think the box score only has 1 block and 0 steals for her, but she had a bunch of deflections that led to steals for other people, I guess. They gave the steal to someone else. She was wreaking havoc playing down low, and the block she got was on their point guard shooting a 3. Like, that's the versatility you get from Jordan Merritt is she'll play on the 5, and then because we'll switch, she'll get on the point guard, and the point guard's like, oh, I got the big on me. I can shake her and do a little move and then go up for 3. And Jordan just like, nope, just does the move. She just does the move with her and then goes up and blocks her shot. And that girl was stunned. So you love that from her.
You love to see it.
I loved it. I thought maybe saw a little bit of leadership from Jordan. I'm sure she's a leader behind the scenes. I don't know if she's a vocal leader. I don't really. That's a team thing. But I saw like an action type leader. Like that she took that a little personally from Provo and wasn't going to let it happen again, which I loved because we know that's Jordan Merritt. That's Jordan Merritt. Everyone that knows Jordan Merritt in basketball knows that that's what she's capable of. So I loved it from her.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And her and Logan got the Dominator Award, a shared award, which we've seen a few times this semester, this season. Sorry, semester. But another thing with Jordan with this game that I don't know if it's been happening this season or, I'm just constantly looking at new things to witness of this season so far. But this step out of like she's in the paint, but like a step out scoop shot that she has that
yeah.
I mean, when
It is
y'all see it
smooth.
happen, it's so smooth. These defenders are just left speechless. It is so fun to watch her do that. And like we're seeing these unique twists, like with Bailey Maupin, we've talked about her passing, we've talked about Jazzy's passing. Like it's just the unique characteristics of these players that I'm like, oh my God, that move by Jordan Merritt is sending me when Ashley is clapping in those defenders' faces. It's sending me like, keep it up, keep it going. I'm here for it. But yeah, and then like,
I thought
yeah.
Ashley had a good game before. I know you have a story about this,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna let you go into it. But
no, go for
you
it.
just brought up Ashley, and she's someone that had in the notes that she just had another quiet, good game. I always feel comfortable when Ashley's out there. Pull up her stat line, but I think she had like 4 points, a couple of rebounds, and they were some big rebounds. Like she was out there getting offensive rebounds against the bigs. I'm like, I don't know how she does it. She just knows who she is, and she just does a good job using her leverage. And she had some assists, some steals. She had a very busy stat line. If you look at her box score, like every category almost is filled up in it. And it was just a very Ashley game, getting back in the starting lineup.
That's so true.
It was good to see from her. So Logan, Jordan, like we talked about, we already talked about Maupin and Shavers doing something different on defense in this game, which was cool.
Yeah,
Ashley, everybody that got in the game had big games, but these two in this picture,
I know, it's so good, and it that's what's so cool, and what I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I love this photo because it's like Logan is reaching out her hand to Jordan, and we've talked to both of these players before in our interviews, so it's just even more I think fitting to see this growth from them. But having their career nights as Red Raiders too, as you mentioned, with Jordan coming from Florida, and then Logan being a freshman, just like, hey, we're doing this together, like freshman, senior, everywhere in between. And I love seeing everybody else getting so hype in the background too, of like, yeah, like go off, Queens, that's what y'all do. And I don't know, I really wanted to highlight this photo and the way that we're seeing how they support each other, how they work together and get this win. So it makes me even more excited to continue to watch their progress. But also, a retweet about Ashley. She had 4 rebounds in that game, y'all. And she's 5'7", and she's talked about it before on her social media of like, like short people can rebound too, like short people can play defense too. And it's always fun to watch her play, and I agree with you too. I have a sigh of relief when I see Ashley like playing defense. It's like everything's good. She's got it taken care of. I can watch anything else other than this because I know she's going to clamp it down. So, really exciting game.
Comment here about Merritt from Cactus on the Brazos. Says, glad to see Merritt have a dominating game. I've seen a lot of good defense out of her, but she took her physicality to another level last night, which helped her score more points and get to the rebound. Yeah, I think she's shown moments of being physical, but she's definitely learning from Coach P, and I think they're working on that every game. The more she can have that type of game instead of just being finesse, she can really do well, especially because we're asking her to play the 5 so much this year, so she is going up against some pretty physical players and still getting it done. So we're gonna need some more of that from her on Saturday. So I'm excited to see it. But yeah, it was a great game from Merritt. We needed it obviously last night, and it was fun to see her get the career high. When she was close, I was like, okay, we gotta get it.
I know. Yeah. Get that stat out of the way. On to the next, which is gonna be a good one. Who do they have? Is it? Tell us who we have
next
coming
up
up
on Saturday. We have TCU, the Lizards. Some people call them horned frogs, but that's not a real thing. They're lizards.
Y'all, this bends Shelby out of shape. Y'all better not mess it up because
it's a fictional animal. But anyway, they play at 2 p.m. in Lubbock, y'all. We talked about how this team bounces back and they keep getting up. And I'm telling you, a lot of teams around the country already have quit in similar situations. A lot of teams will quit. A lot of players will quit on their team. In those situations, they just keep getting on back up in a really tough conference. There is probably not a Power 5 conference in the nation right now that has more parity than the Big 12, I would feel. And the Pac-12 might have some more top teams. You go look at the Big 12 standings right now. Woo, we're just beating up on each other. So keep riding that wave, and they have a big one on on Saturday we have a TCU fan in our comments. Shout out Ray. Ray does a great job covering TCU women's sports. So we're friends with Ray. But we're enemies on Saturday, Ray.
What counter does he have about the horned frog lizard thing? You know,
says,
I'm
go
curious.
Frogs, you know.
Oh,
I don't. He didn't counter. He knows that they're lizards. But we do play TCU on Saturday. Everyone knows the situation. We've talked about it before. They had about 10 days off because of the situation they had there with the injuries, and they hadn't played until this past Tuesday, and they beat UCF. And
that's
guys,
right.
I'm a little over the narrative.
Oh no.
And I feel bad for both TCU and everyone else involved because they're spinning the media. We know the media, like we get it. Everyone loves a good story, and
we are.
I respect them and we sympathize. We're without our starting point guard and our starting center too. Trust me, we're there. But they're acting like it's like a bunch of walk-ons that beat a team on Tuesday. And if I was on that team, I'd be like, "Yo, I've worked my whole life for this. I'm a Division I scholarship athlete that just won a basketball game." Like, slow your roll. They didn't find me off the couch. But that part of it, don't buy into that narrative. I think that's the biggest thing our team kind of has to guard themselves against is there's a lot of unwarranted pressure on you in that way because of that storyline that's out there. But our players know who they're playing. They probably know a lot of these players as well. A lot of these players have been playing all year. They are missing some of their best players, which, again, we understand, and it sucks. I don't like anyone getting injured.
Yeah, that sucks.
But they still have 7 players that played on Tuesday that were on scholarship. And I'll be interested to see if some of these walk-ons that didn't play Tuesday, if perhaps they play against us with more practice time. We'll find out. They didn't really play. But all I have on that game is good. I feel bad for our coaches, but they'll figure it out because we have great coaching staff, right? I felt bad for UCF because I had that game on in the background while I was doing stuff. And TCU used, the 10 days that they had off in the middle of the season while everybody else was playing to put in a whole new offense. Right. And so UCF had no idea what they were going to face, right? Mm-hmm. And so without their starting center, they're similar to us where they don't have a true 5. And so they had to go play in the 5 that's used to playing the 4. And they ran kind of like a 4-out, 5-out offense at times. And TCU is loaded with shooters. Like, we can't ignore their shooters. And they're a good offensive staff. So, like, they run good offense, right? No matter who's on the floor. And so poor UCF was chasing them around like lost puppies. Like, they didn't know what was happening because they'd never seen it on film, and it was a new offense that they were running. And if you give TCU wide open looks, like, they're gonna hit them. You know what I mean? Like, they're good shooters. These are Division I athletes. They are not walk-ons like the media is trying to feed you. They can absolutely hit shots, and that's what they did in that game. And if you leave them open, they're going to hit them. And they could get off to a fast start, right? Which is what they did on Tuesday. So we can't do that. Kind of what they want to happen is what good offensive teams do is they just wait for you to make a mistake, and they'll pass it well, they'll cut well until you get lazy. If you get lazy, they make you pay because someone's wide open, they hit a shot. You just got to stay committed to what you're doing on defense and take it kind of personally that you're going to do your job and get it done. So we'll see. I'm sure they're going to have even more new stuff that comes in off this game with another week to practice with this group now, and we'll have to be prepared for it. But I think adjustments will be important in this one. Interested to see how they handle the press if we do press, assuming we do what we do there. But yeah, that's kind of what that game will be. But be there, as Tyler said, sell this thing out. That would be awesome. Wear red. I guess
you won't.
I'm gonna trust Tyler that means it's a red out. So. He's our new little student leader there. So wear red, or that's just what he's doing on his own. Do what Tyler tells you to do, people. If Tyler tells you to do it,
what an endorsement. This endorsement deal. The game is Saturday, the 27th at 2 p.m. At home. So if you're there in Lubbock, watch the game. If you're not, but yeah, should be a good one. And then we'll talk to y'all again before they have their next game. Their next game isn't until
we just got a question on Facebook that I guess didn't come here. It's what we were talking about before we started recording. It's when it's in this group. It's in this Facebook group. I promised y'all I would actually pay attention this week. So yay me. Oh, sorry. You can hear us talking because I opened it. But someone's asking what do we think the issue is between the road and the away games? And when is our next away game? Well, you answered part of that. Our next game is at Cincinnati next Saturday.
About to.
So we'll preview that next week in next week's show. But do you have an answer for this? I'll answer it afterwards. But if you had the answer, I don't know.
I don't. If I had the answer, I'd call coach and be like, "Hey, girl, I don't have your phone number, but this is imaginary. I got the magic not to like poke up fun at that question. I think it's just a lot of our road games too, or like a lot of our travel has been kind of unique. Like this is just me kind of going off the rails. Like we were in Vegas and then we went to Hawaii, and that whole Hawaii thing I think was just like shit was not 100%.
We don't speak of Hawaii.
I honestly, I just think that kind of, got it a little bit weird feeling. And then again, this conference, any win is huge, but I think even a road win has got to be like 20 times more tough for the people the teams that they're going up against. So
for sure.
I don't know the answer, but that's my like what I'm seeing. Maybe that's how I'm processing, but
yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't think there is. If there was an answer, the team would have figured it out. So I appreciate the question. Roger is his name. Appreciate you watching. Thank you. I think the team's working on that. I think it's I think a lot of it is what Cybbi said. It's tough for anyone. A lot of people to win on the road. A lot of people have similar road records so far in conference. A lot of people are winning their home games and losing on the road. That's what's happening right now. I do think there perhaps is a little bit of a difference in our focus, maybe home and away, that we're working on, and that's just a personal thing. I think you got to be tougher on the road even than you are at home, and those things I think they'll start to figure out. I will say we'll preview that Cincinnati game next week more because they won't play before we do that. But one thing I will say about Cincinnati is you absolutely can't roll into Cincinnati and not play tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not. This sounds harsh, but we're not a good enough team to play soft. There's not very many teams in the country that are good enough to play soft, but on the road. But we're not one of those, right? And so you can't roll into Cincinnati and play soft for multiple reasons. But I've somehow ended up watching a bunch of Cincinnati games, and they just beat Oklahoma State last night at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then their last game that I watched, they got kind of blown out by West Virginia at home, and they played Oklahoma close at home and some other teams close, right? The games where they get beat are very different from the games that they win, and I think it's a toughness thing. So I think if we're talking about how are we going to finally get off this snide, we have to show up and play tough, and not fake tough. I mean, like, they will sense that because Cincinnati's trying to get the players to like play consistently in the Big 12. They're working on that, but they have some good paint players, and their foundation that like gives them confidence and comfort as a program is that we're going to outwork and we're going to out tough you. That's what they do. And so teams where they play a little more finesse, they shoot threes like Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. They're not really bringing the toughness necessarily. Oklahoma State really can't play that way because they only have 7 available players. Yeah. So if they get in foul trouble doing that, they're in trouble. They gain confidence in those games. You can see it. It's visible. Like it's palpable when you're watching them play. Versus they play like teams like West Virginia, West Virginia is not fake tough. They're just tough, right?
Yeah.
Tough defense. They didn't allow Cincinnati to score in the first quarter. And you could visibly see Cincinnati's soul sucked from their body because they're being out-toughed. And like when you steal a team's foundation, it's over. So,
that house is crumbling.
I guess that's what I'd say. This guy's like, how are we going to get off the snide in Cincinnati? We'll talk about it more, but that's my initial thought on that is we got to show up and play tough. And it's got to be consistent. It can't be fake. We can't get down after one play. If they sense weakness, they will get confident.
Blood's in the water.
They're like, okay, you might be more quote unquote skilled than us, but you're playing soft. We're tougher than you, and that's how they stay in games. It's like you can visibly see it, and it cracks me up a little bit. Like, but it's like that's just fun to watch, and like they're not fake about being tough. They just are. But you can definitely shake their foundation if you show up and are like, no, we're that way too. So I think you kind of need to do that everywhere on the road. Yeah, but definitely in Cincinnati, that would be my initial thought. Roger,
I want to know Roger's answer.
Roger, what is your
Roger?
answer?
You let us know.
Yeah, because I guarantee if this team knew, they'd be doing it. Like the team's working on it, right?
Well,
it's just hard to wear it in the conference. it's a choice thing. You got to think about, like, am I going to sleep at the right time? Am I coming to shoot-arounds the same way on the road as I am away? It's kind of a soul-searching thing on the player's standpoint.
Yeah, which is
and more than anything, which they'll figure out as they go. They don't know what they don't know, and that's what they're working on as a young team and a new team together. So hopefully Cincinnati's the one. Roger, everybody listening, we're here for it to get off the schneid there.
I love it. Yeah, well, great question. And yeah, looking forward to TCU. Ray, if you're still here, it's
Ray.
I like the banter. Wear
Ray's
purple made me laugh. Anyway, but that's, I think, what we have on women's basketball.
Oh,
did you have any?
One more fun thing
What else
happening
did
this weekend is we have some fun recruits in town. The program has a couple of 3 5-star recruits in town with the backcourt, the twin backcourt, the famous twin backcourt. Mia and Maya Paldo are in town. Both 5-star talents, both top 50 talents in the country in the class of 25, and then Bella Flemings is on an unofficial 5-star for the 2026 class.
Awesome.
Are in town this weekend. There's a lot of events going on, I think, this weekend, in addition to the women's basketball games. So
cool.
Apparently, it's fun weekend on campus for you students.
Oh, as usual, y'all have chimneys. You don't take that for granted. You hear? Because then you get old and then your back hurts. Cool. That's what we have for women's basketball. Do we shift to the men's side?
Yeah.
Because they're having a great time.
Yeah, they're currently top of the Big 12. They haven't played as many road games. So they're 1-1 on the road. Now they have to go on the road this weekend. So they're going to have to prove that they can do it on the road. And I'm hopeful that they can. But they had a fun one. They were playing at the same time as we were on Saturday.
I know.
So I was
what a trip that was.
But
yeah,
they got down really big against BYU in the first half. I think they were down 17 or something at half, 16 or 17. BYU was in fuego. These boys could not miss. Like, couldn't miss a shot. Like, if
it was
we moved the goal on the ball. You remember that Flubber movie where there's like that? You put that little thing on the ball and it made it go.
Of course,
that's what it felt like watching this game. I was like, they have like a chip on this ball. Like, it does, how?
Yes.
But we turned up the intensity in the second half and came back. There's a really cool video. You can go watch it on the team page where they go from the moment they got down by 17 in the first half and they show every single basket until we take the lead in the second half. And it's just a cool video because it's neat. Like, it shows a lot about like what it goes into a comeback that way.
Yeah.
So it was good. I think that's this team does a good job of that, right? They don't ever seem to feel like they're out of a game, and they can come back on them, which is a good learning thing. Pop Isaacs kind of refused to let them lose. He dropped 30. There was a quote apparently after the Houston game where they got blown out, which a lot of people do to Houston. It happens. Where he said, "I'm not going to let us lose. I'm going to drop 30 against BYU." If that's true, well, he went out and did it. And a lot of that was in the second half. He didn't play a very good first half, and then
I see
kind of
just went off.
Not very many of them did. It was big stuff from them. They had this week off, so there's not a second game. That's why you didn't see anything about them this week. This was their quote unquote bye, like the women have next week in the midweek, and they play this Saturday at number 11 Oklahoma. Just lost to Texas, maybe. But still, the Big 12 is a gauntlet, so they'll be angry, they'll be upset, ready to go, and we'll be coming in off a week off of rest. So we should be the fresher team. There's that. We have that going for us. A tough environment to play. Actually, I don't know how tough an environment. We'll see. Oklahoma's really known for their basketball fans, but surely their team is number 11. They'll show up. We'll find out. If not,
it's like what do you know that I don't know?
Oklahoma fans. I would assume they'll show up for a top 10-ish team. So I'm excited to see them keep it going and start. They need to get some road wins here now that they're getting to that meat of their schedule. But
no kidding,
they got one in Texas. So
I love it. Yeah, it's cool to see Grant McCaslin in this era of basketball. And I'm even thinking of times like in the earlier when we hired him and like that panic and all the feelings that we feel as Red Raiders. And I'm just really liking what I'm seeing from his program and what this era of basketball is looking like for the Red Raiders, and the toughest team wins, and how we can see that trickle in a lot of different ways on this campus with our athletic department. I think that is such a cool motto to really lean into. And I think the players are living that. Like the toughest team wins. There you have that like tattooed on their chest. So I'm with you on the flubber reference. It was like nothing's gonna miss. I am so sorry, BYU, but you gotta go, babes. It is tough out here. It was it was flubber, it was in fuego, it was unstoppable, and that is some. If you're not wearing red and black, that is a scary team to go against. Is someone that they're just fearless, going 100 miles an hour. Yeah,
I mean, the men's and the women's side. I think we've only lost one game combined between the two in conference play so far. That's pretty impressive record there for Texas Tech fans. So hopefully we keep that going this weekend on the road and at home for both teams, and keep going. But they are alone atop the Big 12 standings right now at 4-1. Kansas State lost last night, so we're up there. It's the air is thin up there on top for men's basketball. It's also thin on top for men's track, who is number 1.
Oh, damn, Shelby! Whoa,
number 1 in the not just the Big 12, in the nation. After 2 meets on the year, they are the number 1 track team in the nation. Are we surprised? No, it's Texas Tech track. It's what they do. But it's always nice to see them up there at number 1. And the women, not too far behind. They're ranked number 9. So we have both teams in the top 10 in the nation. What else is new? This is Texas Tech track. We swept the Big 12 awards with the Women Athlete of the Award, which we're going to talk a lot about her more with Timatope Adeshina, who we're going to talk about more, who was also the national track athlete of the week.
Yes.
And then Caleb Dean won the Big 12 Athlete of the Week on the men's side, who's a hurdler for Texas Tech and just great at everything he does. He's great to watch. Go watch him do what he does. He's so clean, and he made it to, I think he made it to nationals last year. I remember watching him. So he's just good at what he does. So I'll let you take it over from here if you want to talk about Timmy is what she goes by for short.
Timmy.
So I said the full name, but you can take it over with just
No,
Timmy.
yeah.
I did you a favor.
I love unique names, considering mine is unique too. And so, I mean, a freshman and high jumper in, what did you say her nickname or what she goes by?
Timmy, I believe.
Timmy. Oh, cool. Yeah. But yeah, it had this incredible, record for the Texas Tech program, a prestigious program, y'all, like track and field, like Shelby said, that's a scheduled thing that we say, a scheduled tweet, a scheduled mark, that how impressive this is. But she in her second meet as a Red Raider, a freshman, she sets the new program record for high jump, which is 1.96 meters. And y'all, we have a lot of learning to do. I say me with track and field. So just hang tight with me, but like buy into this energy because it's warranted. So she sets a new record, 1.96 meters, which is 6'4". And you know what I do? I think of a human that I know that's 6'4". Mm-hmm. Imagine that, y'all. She cleared it. And she's the first woman from Texas Tech.
Over Jordan Merritt.
She did, yes. Jordan Merritt.
She jumped clean over her.
Clean.
With a couple inches.
No trace. Yes. But this was she was the first woman, the first Texas Tech athlete to clear 6'3". So a clear shot over there. And another thing to make note of, nationally, this performance tied the number 3 all-time mark, and she leads the NCAA and world rankings right now with this 1.96 meter clearance. And we have the clip, y'all, from her doing this. And there's a lot of things to look at here because you see her and then you see the hype of what just happened. And that's, I think, what is so justified is that we have this freshman Red Raider in her second meet and having this really historical thing happen. It's really cool to see. So yeah, hit the clip. Oh my gosh.
Dude, every time. The hype is her teammates, her coaches, the crowd.
We could probably play it like one more time, but with the sound on, because the best part is
the roar of the crowd.
Oh yeah, that silence right before the roar is so hype. And then seeing them just like, okay, we're past the rope, we're going to give her a hug, like see
we're
ya.
over it.
But yeah, it's such a magical moment, and I love the excitement. Like, this is so cool to see. So huge congratulations, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more success coming from her
There's no
in the
telling
future.
what she's capable of. I mean, also tied the facility record, because
Oh
obviously
my
it's
gosh,
a
yeah.
it's a team record and all that, but they have they host like professional events, I guess, sometimes. And I think in 2020 they had like a world champion high jumper
Yeah.
that tied that same mark. So this is like an Olympic athlete right here. I believe she competes from Nigeria, I believe, but
Yeah.
yeah, so she's an Olympic athlete we have on our hands. So I mean, we seemingly have an all-time great on our hands already. If all goes to plan for her. That's wild to be doing that in your second ever meet. I mean, we talked about her last week, that her and her teammate, which I don't know if competed this week, but there's another freshman on campus where they both were leading the nation in the Big 12 in high jump after the first week meet. So like she was doing really well as well, and then Timmy just
warming up
to another level.
Yes.
So high jump could be a fun event for us this year, it looks like. And high jump's fun to watch. And if you didn't get that from the way the crowd went crazy, we've been telling you that meets are really fun to watch, indoor especially, because it's all so close quarters. You could have been there to see history, and she might just do that every freaking week. Like, I don't know. And she'll just keep up, because she stopped, right? She could have kept going, and she was like, "We're good for now." She got that record, and so went on to the next. But yeah, so they are not home this weekend. Check the schedule when they'll be back, but they are up in Kentucky. I believe they'll start tomorrow in Kentucky for their meet with some fun teams that'll be matching up. So I think there's some SEC teams and stuff there in this one, so give them a little more competition. But I mean, you have the number 3 mark all time, so
right.
But you got to do it on the road this time. See, get a little new scenery, new place to jump, a little new to it, and then our runners will just do what they do. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree.
Bless
agree with
Ryan. Yeah, that's what I thought too. She's just not, that form isn't quite there. That was my thought. No, I'm kidding. I am sure that coaches are like, she can definitely get better. She's just an athlete. I saw people calling for Coach Gerlich to give her a call, and I'm like, nah, leave the girl alone. Just let her do what she does. I mean, I get it. That would be fun, but no. It's not quite that easy to just play basketball either. Give her a few years maybe, but yeah, I love that.
We'll be all right.
That's crazy that she still has room to grow.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. That's what's cool about sports.
Stevens, we really do want you to ask questions live. I don't know why you're asking that.
Girl, that was a long time ago. Like, you're missing him.
I'm sorry. That was 4 minutes ago. It's not a long time ago. Charlotte, just put this one in here. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
That's nice of you.
Having a good time up here.
We try to keep you guys informed in a fun way, and try not to use it. Yeah.
Informed. God, making this sound.
Make it fun. Speaking of fun, we teased this earlier. You act like people don't know. We already put it out there to let them ask questions, but softball, you will have an interview coming up. It might be Monday. We might drop it on Monday or Tuesday. We'll talk about when. So with Craig Snyder, head coach of the team, and it is great. It is everything we expected it to be and more.
Yes.
Good guy we have leading that program. And you saw the video they posted today. He teased that a little bit in the interview, which by the time you hear it, it's already been out. But they've started their own version of Between Two Ferns, but Between Two Tumbleweeds, which Texas Tech fans will understand that reference. It's very Texas Tech. And he talks all about where the tumbleweed thing came from, and all about this year's team, and really cool stories about how he started in softball, which is a wild story, actually.
Yeah.
It's a wild story. So tune in for that. It'll come out on YouTube, and we'll promote it everywhere we promote things. So
yeah, it was a really awesome interview, because y'all know we interview a lot of our athletes, and that's great. And so when we get to hear from the coach's perspective, it's so cool. And what I think from Coach Snyder is how he interacts online, everything that we see of him interacting with the team, like pictures, videos, all that. It's exactly who he is. He is who he is. And
for sure.
in that interview, it's a whole other appreciation for what he's doing for the team. So really awesome interview. I can't wait for y'all to watch it. It's really, really wholesome. It's really good.
Yeah. It's always nice when like the person you think they are matches up. 'Cause,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he's a newer coach. You never know. Like all the vibes were there. We've
Mhm.
interacted a lot with him since the beginning, since we started
Yeah.
this thing. But that was the first time we've gotten a chance to interview him, and
Yeah.
it matched up. Authentic guy, very authentic, and you can see why he's gone everywhere he's gone. There's been success that followed, and that's coming for Texas Tech now. So love it.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of success, I'm really going to try and work on these transitions that you've been giving us this episode, Shelby. I was waiting for you to make some type of golf reference. How dare you? That's not part of your vocabulary. But we're going to talk about golf because we've talked about Shannon Tan before, y'all. A Red Raider who has recently gone pro, which is amazing already from the jump. It's always cool when we see like our athletes doing the best that they can, and that's what Shannon's doing. And not only that, but she got second place in her professional debut at the WebEx Players Series in Australia. And I started reading more about this experience. And I was like, oh, I hope she had fun because it's Australia, and you know she's from there. She's from Singapore. She has connections with Australia. She has a really, really cool background, and so I'm reading more about her, Shelby. So okay, cool. She, sorry, make it sound casual. She got second place in her debut as a professional.
Ridiculous.
That's casual before compared to what I'm about to tell you. So she's had that experience, whatever. I'm reading more about her. So Shannon became the first local amateur to win the Singapore Ladies Masters. So
That's probably why she went pro the next week, but that's
she's 19, y'all. Like she's freshman,
That's
sophomore,
wild.
19. So that's huge for her, like on a country global wide level. And then she earned a card for the LET, which is the Ladies European Tour in 2024, which is huge just on its own. And that was the first for a Singapore golfer to happen. And so she's creating this history for her country, and she happened to make a pit stop to Lubbock, Texas. And I just think that's really cool to see how she's thriving right now and doing the damn thing. So yeah, shout out to you, Shannon. Keep doing it.
Yeah, keep doing it.
And-
I mean, golf score. School.
and golf score.
Ludwig Aberg doing the thing on the men's side. As
Yeah.
golfer too.
And I saw a photo, and I think she's still using her Texas Tech like golf bag. So like
comfort, you know.
We love that. We love that representation down under.
Love it. Love it. And we got one more sport that is underway, y'all. Tennis, we didn't forget about you. They're just barely got underway with their first matches. Someone tell me the lingo.
I think
matches for tennis.
Match, I think is right.
This past weekend, the women beat Liberty 6-1. The men unfortunately dropped. I think they've actually started. They were undefeated coming this weekend, but they did drop one this weekend to ACU. But both of them are getting ready to bounce back, and some fun little invitationals coming up, especially on the women's side. They are headed up to Virginia. Maybe I'll just go meet them. I'm only about an hour and a half from the Virginia border here. Maybe I'll go up there and watch some Texas Tech tennis. Who knows? Tell me I won't this weekend. They start tomorrow, January 26th at 12. They take on number 11 Virginia, the Cavaliers. I'm assuming maybe you can watch that somewhere. The team will put out a streaming link. I think maybe they've...
Yeah.
Well, I guess it'll be up to the host. So we'll see if Virginia streams their events or not. But that's fun, getting to face some top 25 teams. And then they will either face, it's like a tournament format. They'll either face number 24 Wisconsin after that, or Georgia Tech on Saturday at 2:30 or 5:30. So keep your eyes on that if you like to watch tennis. See the women go up against some top 25 opponents. And then the men are headed over to the University of San Diego over in California for a match. So
bummer.
Traveling on the road.
San Diego is awesome. That's awesome to hear about. And I've been seeing a lot of really hype clips from their Twitter X account. So
put out some good hype videos.
If y'all, again, that's another sport for me to learn more about, and I'm excited to. Hopefully this season, but that has been helpful. Of like, oh, I know I can get hype like this. So tennis definitely being one of those sports.
I heard a fun fact. Well, I haven't looked into this to find out if it's true, but to tie it all back to basketball and close this thing out, that Bailey Maupin was quite the tennis player in high school.
What?
Someone told me that once.
Of course
on
she
Twitter. I've
was.
never. We ever get Bailey on this show, we'll ask her. But I've been told that. So that I mean,
Oh,
she's
cool.
I mean, athletes are athletes. They can all play
Well,
all the sports, I guess. But
and who was
I
it
thought that was
that
interesting.
McKinney and who else really good at soccer? Like
Jazzy.
Jazzy?
Yeah, apparently Jazzy Shavers was
and Sago.
like,
Oh yeah.
elite soccer player, and then had to choose when she got towards high school, like which one am I gonna keep doing the AAU thing on, because I can't do both travel soccer and travel basketball, and she chose basketball. But yeah, and Riley played soccer as well. So Saga, I think, did overseas.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, athletes are athletes, like we said. It's not surprising, but tennis is a random one. I would like to know the story there, but that just popped in my brain. So go watch Bailey Maupin, the tennis player, also the basketball player, on Saturday, along with her teammates, as the Lady Raiders take on TCU, looking to win 2 in a row here in conference, get to 5-4, which would be at the end of the first half in Big 12 play, which that would be a solid record. That'd be, moving in the right direction for this program. And then they'd have a week off there before they play again. So get out there. They need the support. Get a good crowd for them. Help them through it. And let's get another dub. Watch the men on the road in Oklahoma that same day. Tennis doing the thing. All these people. Softball interviews coming from the coach and other players. Their season's right around the corner. Let's do this thing.
Let's do it. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Subscribe, like wherever you're watching.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
Tell your foes. We even got the enemy in this one. We're good with that.
We even got enemies.
Join the show. We're good with that.
We keep our friends close. We keep our enemies closer.
That's it.
On the internet. But yeah, we hopefully have some exciting things in the future to continue to grow. But
yeah, we might have.
Thank you for your support so far.
We'll see.
Oh, we are. Yeah. Anyway, till next time, y'all.